Today, we're heading to one of the most extreme places on the entire planet, the Tibetan Plateau. Seriously, it's a place where survival seems next to impossible, and yet, a whole civilization was built there. How? Well, it all comes down to a really surprising partnership with one single amazing animal.
So that's the big question, right? When you're living on the literal roof of the world, how do you solve the absolute basics? Like, where do you get food? How do you stay warm? How do you build anything? The answer is not what you'd think. And it all revolves around this one incredible creature. Okay, first up, life on the roof. Before we get to the solution, we have to appreciate just how massive the problem was. I mean, let's really take a minute to understand the sheer hostility of this high-altitude world. Just look at this list. Every single one of these is a potential deal breaker for human life. You've got extreme elevation, which means the air is incredibly thin, making every little thing feel exhausting. The winters, absolutely brutal, freezing cold. And get this, there are almost no trees around, no wood for building, no wood for fuel, and the growing season is so short you can't really rely on farming. This wasn't just a tough place to live, it was a place that seemed to be actively trying to keep people out. So, how on earth did they do it? Well, they found a partner that was perfectly built for this world. And that brings us to the hero of our story, the yak. And more importantly, the incredible story of how humans managed to tame this mountain beast. This right here shows you the game-changing shift. On one side, you've got the wild yak. Huge, powerful, honestly pretty dangerous. You could hunt it for meat, sure, but that was a risky business. But on the other side, the domestic yak, a manageable partner. This process, domestication, totally transformed the relationship. It turned a wild beast you hunted into an animal you could herd, an animal that provided for you every single day. That was a revolutionary change. And you've got to understand, this didn't happen overnight. Domestication isn't like flipping a switch or taming one animal. We're talking about a patient, long-term relationship built over centuries. Humans started managing the herds, choosing which animals to breed, slowly favoring traits that made them more useful and a little less wild. Over generations, they literally helped create a new kind of yak, one perfectly suited to live alongside people. And what a solution it was! Seriously, the domesticated yak wasn't just helpful, it was the key that unlocked the entire plateau. This one animal solved pretty much every single major problem of living at that altitude. It's kind of mind-blowing when you see it all laid out.
This is just amazing. The yak was like a walking, breathing Swiss Army knife. It gave them food, of course, milk, butter, cheese, and meat, all packed with calories. Its super thick hair could be woven into fiber to make tents and warm clothes. In that rugged terrain, it was the only reliable form of transportation, a four-wheel drive pack animal. You got leather from its hides, and then there's that other huge slice of the pie, fuel. Which brings us to one of the biggest puzzles on the plateau. So you're in this vast, treeless world. Where do you get firewood? How do you cook your food? How do you possibly survive those freezing winters without a fire? And here is the absolutely genius solution: dried yak dung. I know, it might not sound glamorous, but this stuff was like gold on the plateau. It was a reliable, easy-to-gather, abundant source of fuel that let people cook and stay warm. And the source material is really clear on this. This wasn't just a small detail. It was a cornerstone of the whole human-yak partnership. It made everything else possible. So, with the basics covered, food, shelter, warmth, all thanks to the yak, people could finally move beyond just scraping by. They could stop just surviving and start building an actual society. You can see the progression so clearly here. First, the yak secures the fundamentals. That allows for stable communities to form. People can stay in one place longer. Then, with those communities established, the yak's role as a pack animal kicks in, creating trade routes that connect the entire plateau. And when you put all that together, you finally have the foundation for a rich, complex, social and cultural life to blossom. And the yak's influence went deep, I mean really deep, into the fabric of their society. It wasn't just an economic thing. A family's wealth, their social standing, was literally measured by how many yaks they had. The rhythm of daily life, the chores, the seasonal migrations, it all revolved around taking care of the herds. The yak became so central that it was woven into their stories, their art, their entire cultural identity. So let's zoom out one last time, just to see the true legacy of the yak.
Because this isn't just a story about an animal. It's a story about how human history actually gets made. And here is the biggest takeaway for me. We often think about history as this grand story of kings and empires and big battles. But underneath all of that, what history is really about is people figuring out how to solve the basic problems of daily life. How to eat, how to stay warm, how to build a community. On the Tibetan Plateau, the yak was the answer to every one of those questions.
This quote from the source material just says it all perfectly. This wasn't a relationship of a master and a dumb animal. It was a true partnership. Humans shaped the yak through domestication, for sure, but the yak also shaped human civilization, making life possible in a place where otherwise just couldn't be. It really does stand right alongside the horse, the cow, and the dog as one of our species' greatest allies.
And that leaves us with one final thought. The yak was the visible, living engine of that entire society. But what are the hidden engines of our world today? What are the technologies, the systems, the unsung partners that we completely depend on? You know, the things we take for granted that, just like the yak, make our daily lives possible. It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me.